Okay, I just want to thank Shelley Sternberg and Eddie Breuer, friends of ours, longtime friends who lived in Toronto, Montreal, and Hamilton. They're from Montreal and Hamilton and spent a number of years in Toronto and have been in Israel now for many, many years. And I want to thank them. They're sponsoring today's shir in memory of Shelley's grandmother, Elizabeth Newman, Esther Bat Zvi Hirsch. The neshama should have an aliyah, and we should have a happy occasion. We hear good news. So thank you. Okay. We were talking last week about the shofar and how Rosh Hashanah is the least mentioned holiday in the Bible, only mentioned twice in the Bible. And we don't know anything about it. There's no reasons given. It's a Yom Truah or a Zichron Truah, a day to blow something. We don't know what to blow. Torah doesn't tell us. And why does it sometimes say Zichron Truah? To remember the blowing means you don't blow it. And we said that the Talmud Yerushalmi, Jerusalem Talmud, says this is the biblical source why we do not blow shofar when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat. I don't think I explained what would be the reasoning for that, why you wouldn't blow shofar. So probably because shofar is to acknowledge the kingship of God. We spoke the three major themes of Rosh Hashanah seem to be kingship, creation, and judgment. Those, it's the Yom Adin, it's the Yom Harad Olam, the day of the creation of the world, and what's the creation and kingship. That's the main thing. Melech, HaMelech, Hashem Melech, Hashem Melech. It's all over the place. So those seem to be the three themes, although none of those are mentioned in the Torah directly at all. And so we explained that. So probably if shofar and Rosh Hashanah in general is a way to coronate God as our king, as Rav Soloveitchik used to say. That's from his Chabad teacher. He talked about his Chabad teacher as a kid, talked about Rosh Hashanah as Malchut, the coronation of God. And of course, once the family found out that he had a teacher who was Chabad, they, of course, fired him on the spot. I won't discuss, it's a different world. What can I tell you? And, the Soloveitchik Lithuanian tradition didn't tolerate having a teacher. But Rav Soloveitchik often would comment how thankful he was that he got exposed as a young child to Chassidut, to teaching the it's really beautiful what Rav Soloveitchik is saying, that we can learn from everybody, learn from different traditions that aren't our own exactly. I mean, it's not like totally different. At least I hope people don't think that, despite the many differences we often have. So, the coronation of the king, Shabbat is the greatest coronation of the king. That's what every Shabbat is. So presumably on Shabbat, you don't need blowing of the shofar. So even though the Babylonian Talmud sees it as a rabbinic law, that according to Bible you do blow, nonetheless, we don't blow shofar on Shabbat. That's our practice. We don't blow shofar on Shabbat. Anyways, we derive it from Yovel, and you can see that somehow Yovel is the same idea, returning back, tshuva, coming back home. That's the whole concept. The Torah is deriving Rosh Hashanah from the laws of Yovel. So, and only by Yovel does the Torah tell us that we blow shofar. It doesn't say what we blow. So I just want to spend a couple minutes first. What I want to do today is go through how the blowing of the shofar has developed. We have today 100 kolot. Some of this might be familiar. It's always good to review, but especially for me too. You forget a lot of the things and the nuance and insight. And then hopefully we'll have time. We'll spend part of this year talking about Lamnatseach Livnei Korach Mizmor. That what's printed in art custom, at least in the Ashkenazic world, is to say Lamnatseach Livnei Korach Mizmor, a song to the children of Korach. And we say it 7 times. And I want to discuss why we say this Pizmon and why we choose Korach as our sort of, I don't know, somehow the children of Korach, that's not like my favorite theme before blowing shofar. I wouldn't think so. And of course, what it means. So, but let's talk about the shofar a little bit and where it comes from. So, as I mentioned, the Torah tells us Yom Truah by Rosh Hashanah or Zichron Truah, and by Yovel it tells us Ta'aviru Shofar. We saw that last week. You pass the shofar, but the Yovel doesn't tell us what we do either. Doesn't tell us what that means. What do we mean Lahavir Shofar? So the rabbi, I'm sorry.
I just got to mention that I found the pasuk. I sent it to you that the Torah uses the word Yovel as a synonym for shofar at the Har Sinai.
Right.
Mashach HaYovel Yalu
Yeah,
Bakar.
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Absolutely. No, it's very good. We discussed last week the original blowing of the shofar in the Torah, where it says the word shofar. The word shofar is mentioned only by Yovel and by Matan Torah. By he calls shofar holech v'gadol, I think 4 or 5 times the shofar is mentioned by Har Sinai, right? So Morris pointed out, oh, you're right, thank you very much. You also have the word Yovel there. So that's beautiful. You see all the connections. Obviously, Har Sinai is the acceptance of God as our ruler. That's what Har Sinai is. That God's our king. That's what Yovel is. It's not even our land. We've got to give the land back. They're not our slaves. Ki li b'nei Yisrael avadim, the Torah says. They are my servants. Velo avadim lavadim. The rabbis say you shouldn't be a servant to a servant. That's why we poke a hole when we had to treat a slave, servant, whatever word you want to use, but we had to treat a slave so well that he wanted to stay, because if you only had one piece of steak, he ate it, right? The slave had to be treated equally to you. He got off on Shabbos, of course, and if he wasn't married, you can give him a wife, and but he has to sleep in the same fancy beds as you do, and same big nice home, and go on vacation with you. When you go to Florida or Israel for Pesach, you got to take him along. You got to treat him as a member of the family. So after 6 years, the guy doesn't want to leave. This is great. I love this life. So we poke a hole in his ear. Because what do you mean? The ear that heard at Mount Sinai. That's how the rabbis say. Ki li b'nei Yisrael avadim. Your servants, your slaves. I like for God. We like the word servant better, but whatever. Your servants and slaves to me. He heard those words, and he doesn't pay attention. He wants to be a servant, a slave to another human being. We're going to poke his ear. We don't make him deaf. It's like the earlobe. But it's that idea. So Yovel, Har Sinai, Shofar, Rosh Hashanah is all one theme. Now, where does the words Tekiah and Trua appear in the Torah? What we call Tekiah, Trua, right? Tekiah. The word Shvarim, to the best of my knowledge, does not appear in the Torah at all. There's no such thing as Shvarim. But where do the words Tekiah? It's not by Rosh Hashanah, and it's not by Yovel. And as far as I know, it's not by Mamad Har Sinai either. As far as I know, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, there's only one place in the Torah where the where the word Tekiah and Trua appear. Anybody want to guess? Okay. So let me share my screen.
You're saying they appear together in a pasuk somewhere?
It's sort of, yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
or like next to
Okay.
each other. Yeah. That's they do. Where am I going here?
Truas Melech Bo, but I don't know if it has Tokeya
But
in that
that's not in the
pasuk.
Chumash. I don't know
Oh, you mean the
why.
Chumash? Uh-huh. Okay.
I've had this problem before. Give me a second. That the first time I share my screen, you don't see anything. Now I'm trying to close it, but it's not closing it right away. Hopefully this will close in a second. I don't know what you guys see now. Um, yeah, maybe, I don't know, my computer.
By
And
the
it's
Chatzos
just a
Scroll.
relatively new computer.
Is it by the
So
Chatzos Scroll?
okay. Okay.
By,
Now I'm going to,
by the Chatzos Scroll.
very good.
By the
By the
Chatzos
Chatzos Scroll.
Scroll.
Right. And where's
Bamidbar.
that? Where is that and why is
In
that?
Bamidbar,
Right.
because it
Bamidbar
tells you when to
chapter
blow, when
10.
to gather the people.
Yeah. So
It's telling you when to gather the people.
very good. Now, I don't know why I won't let me share my screen. Give me a second. I'm having problems here. This is not so good. I mean, I'd like to share my screen, but here we go. I hope. I apologize for my technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. You can see this, right? Everybody sees it now. Yeah. Okay. Chapter 10. Vaydeber Shemo Moshe lemor selech hashtei chatzot rod kesef. Guys, yeah. Okay. Everybody mute themselves, please, if you don't mind. Unless you have obviously a question to what, then you can unmute yourself. So, by the way, a selech hashtei chatzot rod kesef. You have to make 2 trumpets, whatever word they do translate as trumpets. Now, by the way, you should know that in the Beit HaMikdash, you never blew the shofar alone. The shofar was always blown with a chatzot. When did they blow the shofar in the temple? Anybody? How often did they blow the shofar in the temple? It's a trick question. I didn't have. They blew the shofar in the temple every single day, 365 days a year. The Talmud says they blew 9. They blew 3 kolot. I guess Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, whatever. When they opened up the gates in the morning, the temple only worked in the daytime, right? The temple did not operate at night because night is darkness. Night is, we've mentioned a number of times, the day in the temple starts in the morning. We are all used to the day starting at night. Rosh Hashanah starts next Monday night. But in the temple, Rosh Hashanah only starts next Tuesday morning. And the first day of Rosh Hashanah ends on Monday morning. They go from day to day, daybreak to daybreak. We go from nightfall to nightfall. And the simple reason is, I always like to beautifully explain, Rav Hirsch, that's where I first saw it, is that the role of the Jewish people is to bring light to the world. We are in a world of darkness that we all see, unfortunately, around us. And our mission is to bring light so that day starts and ends at darkness. The temple, God's home, it's light by He or. God created light. That's why we have to create light. So in the temple, time works differently in the temple. So when they opened up the gates in the morning, they blew the shofar 3 times. Then when they brought the morning sacrifice, they blew it 9 times. And when they brought the afternoon sacrifice, they blew it another 9 times, 21 times. And I think the Mishnah in Sukkot, this is where it's all described, a maximum of 48 times. When they take the water libations on Sukkot, they blew it. And when they want this, and the Korban Musaf, when they had the extra additional sacrifice, they would blow shofar. So they blew shofar in the temple every day. The shofar, we associate it with Rosh Hashanah, but it has much greater association than just Rosh Hashanah. And the Mishnah says whenever they blew the shofar, I think that's true every day. Now I have to check. But for sure on Rosh Hashanah and on fast days, the Chatzotzrot are the focus on fast days. And shofar is the focus on Rosh Hashanah. So the Mishnah says on Rosh Hashanah the shofar marichot, you blow a big tekiah gadol, long, and the chatzotzrot are small, little. They blew for 3 seconds, the shofar for 8 seconds, whatever. And on a fast day it was the exact opposite. The shofar was a little bit, and the chatzotzrot had the solo. And the chatzrotzot would be in the middle and the shofar on the side on a fast day. And on a weekday, the shofar blower would be in the middle and people blowing the chatzotzrot would be on either side of him. So here's the shtei chatzotzrot, one piece, mikshat taseh, like the menorah. You can see it's like a temple vessel. Unity, right? That's what the tekiah is. Mikshat taseh, you can't have pieces. The Mishnah describes the beik shivrei shofarot. If you take 4 broken shofar and you glue them beautifully together, it's no good. You have to have a nice one shofar. What if there's a crack? Okay, that's not for now. But to take different pieces and paste them together, that does not work. V'taku behem, so you see already, tekiah. You have to v'no du'elecha kol ha'ida. You call the entire people to come together. Now, obviously, that's what we do on Rosh Hashanah. We blow the shofar. We call everybody to come together. It's not by coincidence that non-religious Jews, quote unquote, go to shul on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is a day we come together. It's a mikra kodesh. That's how the Ramban says. It's not only Rosh Hashanah, but especially Rosh Hashanah. Mikra kodesh means we call the people together in unison. And the Ramban famously says that while there's no obligation to pray on a daily basis, that's a rabbinic obligation. It's an act of kindness. God allows us to pray. We've discussed this many times. God allows us to pray. But on Yontif, on Eitzorah, that special occasion, there's a special mitzvah to daven, it's sibur. Whenever you have daven, there's no individual davening. A Jew doesn't daven individually. A Jew always davens with a community. That's how the Ramban understands it. That's what's going on here. The entire congregation comes petach olam moed. If they only blow one, then only all the leaders come. Utakatem trua v'nasu hamachanot. So trua is movement. They would blow the trua, and then the camps would move. So here you got your kia, and you see it's next to each other. Blow a trua. And it's Yom Trua. It's not a Yom Tekiah. The Tekiah is to surround the Trua. Rosh Hashanah is not about, shofar blowing is not about Tekiah. We have twice as many Tekiyot, because we blow a Tekiah, a Trua and another Tekiah. It's always a 2-to-1 ratio. But the reason, it's the middle that counts. The middle is always the most important in Judaism. So it's the Trua that we're blowing the Trua. Just to blow a Trua, you have to have a Tekiah. Okay. Utkatem Trua Shenit, you blow the second Trua. And again, though, each camp, they were divided into 4 groups, north, south, east, and west, and they marched sort of in the square, whatever, exactly how they marched. So different, into camps of 3. The 12 tribes were divided into 3 camps. Levi's in the middle with the Mishkan. This is a very interesting verse. When you gather the congregation, blow, but don't do a trua. A trua is a broken sound. A tekiah is a united sound. when the community comes together, it's unity. It's got to be one tekiah. Teruah is all the, all the disparate voices and arguments and crying, as we'll see in a moment, although that's not here, right? Ubnei Aaron yikaku bechatzotrot. Now, it's nothing to do with Rosh Hashanah. You understand? There's nothing to do with Rosh Hashanah. This has to do with the camp, but the Torah is intertwined. Obviously, the fact that the rabbis took the tekiah and the teruah from here it tells you something. The rabbis are connecting the themes of movement, the camp going, a destination, a journey. What's your goal? That's Rosh Hashanah. What are my goals for the year, right? The rabbis are obviously playing off on these themes and linking them to Rosh Hashanah. When you gather the people, no trua. You know when you blow the trua? When there's war. Then you sound the trua, right? Not the tekiah, you sound the trua. On your days of joy, Yom Tov, and your holidays, and Rosh Chodesh. We discussed last week, Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Chodesh par excellence. That's probably what Rosh Hashanah is in the Bible. None of this, there's no creation. We have a debate when creation took place, Nisan or Tishrei, there's no Yom Adin. There's none of this stuff. I'm not saying it's not true, but it's not in the Bible. The Bible doesn't talk about it. That's important to know. From the Torah's point of view, so to speak, the main point of Rosh Hashanah, it's Rosh Chodesh. Seven is our magic number. It's important. That's the number we recognize God. 7 days of the week, 7 years, the 7 weeks to receiving of the Torah. So Rosh Chodesh, we blow to katem b'chatzotrot. And God should remember us. You get zichronot. So you have shofar, malchiyot, accepting God, shofarot, and zichronot. This is how we daven. So that's nothing to do with Rosh Hashanah, but that obviously becomes part of the notion of how we blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah, comes from the movement of the camps, which is also the camp coming together. It's Rosh Hashanah themes, just written in a different way. Okay, now why I sort of alluded to it already, of course. Why, when the camp comes together, you're not allowed to blow a true, as we said, it's a disjointed sound. And the community has to be united. That's the tekiah. When we come together, we have a tekiah. So let's go through. Okay, if I were to ask you, I think we'll see who. Why do we blow 100 voices, 100 sounds of the shofar? That's our custom. We'll discuss how much you really have to blow. You don't really have to blow 100, of course. But why do we blow 100? What's the source of blowing 100 sounds of the shofar?
It's not Aim Sisra, is it?
I think so.
Is she right? Is Yocheved right? Yocheved's usually right. Okay. So, okay, let's take a look. You're basically right. Okay. Or more than basically right. So that's very powerful. So, okay, how many shofar blasts do you have to blow according to the Torah?
I think 30.
30. How come? You're right and you're wrong. I give you a 6.5. I'm not nice, but why are you right and why are you not exactly right, or why is it imprecise? In practice, you're right. In theory, you're wrong. If I can say such a thing. Okay.
It's 3 sets of 10, so maybe it's just 10 that you have to hear.
No, so we're going to see. You have to blow 9. You have to blow 9. I'll open up the Gemara in one moment. You have to blow tekiah. You have to blow trua. We don't blow. We blow truot. Rosh Hashanah is a trua day. It's not a tekiah day. Now we have tekiyahs because we want to surround the trua with the tekiah, but it's Yom Trua. That's what the Torah calls it. Zichron Trua. It could have called it a Yom Tekiah. Well, why can't Rosh Hashanah be called Yom Tekiah? The Torah chose to call it Yom Trua. So we already see, though, a Trua is not to be called, is called in time of war. That's we're going to war. I mean, you want to discuss it on very homiletically. We're going to war with our evil inclination and all that stuff. But the Rosh Hashanah is a Yom Trua. It's not a Yom Tekiah. The Torah is the Torah by Yovel. The Gemara writes, let's do the Gemara right now, that when you have a trua, you have to have a tekiah. It's not enough to just have a trua. Having only a trua is bad. Now let's take a look why that's so. So hold on. I hope it's Let's go right here. Rosh Hashanah. As I mentioned last week, Masechet Rosh Hashanah, half of it talks about Rosh Chodesh. That's also a beautiful idea. It's really about Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Hashanah is a big Rosh Chodesh. Chapters 1 and 2 Rosh Chodesh, and 3 and 4 we get into Rosh Hashanah. Oh, Rosh Hashanah happens to be Rosh Chodesh. We don't even start with Rosh Hashanah. We start with Rosh Chodesh. And then we get to Rosh Hashanah. We mentioned that last week. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Amar Abaye. Okay, so we're going to start at the Mishnah. So the Mishnah says how much you have to blow. It's a little bit confusing, the Mishnah. Seder Tekiyot, it's like shalosh, shalosh, shalosh. 3 times 3 times 3. 3 of 3 threes, right? Okay, whatever, we're not going to. Shiur Tekiyah, the key has to be like shalosh truot, v'shiur truah k'shalosh yivavot. Right, the kiyah has to be, without going into all the technical details, the kiyah has to be at least as long as the truah in the middle. All right, you can't blow a 1 second, a 2 second tekiah and a 3 second shvarim, right? 1 second for each shever and only 2 for the tekiah. No, then that's the long shvarim. The tekiah has to be as long, at least as long, and that's why when you blow shvarim true, it's got to be a little bit longer. It takes a little bit more. So, and the mission, you can blow the tekiah as long as you want, but it's only 1 tekiah. Takav rishana mashach b'shniyah kishtayim. You blew it 10 second tekiah. It only counts as 1. It's not the end of then. You blow tekiah, trua, tekiah, tekiah. So you have 2 tekiyahs in a row. You have to pause in the middle. If you don't pause in the middle, it's only 1 tekiah. Fine. Okay. So now the Gemara goes a little bit further down and says like this. Amar Abaye. Abaye is living in the 4th century in Babylonia. Baha vadai plige dichtiv yom trua. It should be a day of blowing. Umetargeminan yom yevava. The Targum Onkelos, which I actually put right here. Ubechodesh hashvi'i, right? Right. This is the 2nd time it's written by the Korbanot in Pinchas, and the 7th day and the 1st day of the month. Mikra Kodesh, Mikom Lachad, Yom Trua. And Parshat Emor, where Rosh Hashanah is really about Rosh Hashanah, it says Zichron Trua. Here it says Yom Trua. And Onkelos, very interesting, according to Onkelos, Yom Yevava. I did not put that bold. That was put by whoever did in Savaria. Yom Yevava. It should be a Yom Yevava, which we don't know exactly what a Yom Yevava means. So the Torah says, the Gemara says, Umetargamina Yom Yevava. Well, what's a Yom Yevava? So when the mother of Sisra, Sisra's mother was standing by the window. This is such a powerful Gemara. It's unbelievable, especially without getting into politics, but it's very important to everything that's going on today. Ba'ad hachalon nishkava v'tiyavev aim Sisra. Sisra's mother was looking out the window. She was yivaveving, she was crying. She was crying, waiting for. That's what the Gemara is saying. That we learn from Sisra what it means to have a trua. It's like unbelievable. We learn from the enemy. Sisra is his terrible enemy of the Jewish people, and we learn from his mother, because his mother was yivavaving for him, because Yom Trua means to yivava, and what was Sisra? Sisra, I don't know what that word means. It's a strange word. So let's look in Tanakh. We find by the mother of Sisra, she was doing that, and we know she was crying. She was crying, waiting for her son to come back, and of course he never came back. Yael killed her. If you remember last year, I don't know when exactly we discussed it. I have to look at my notes. We discussed that's where the Gemara has this fascinating idea that an aveira lishma, that a sin with proper motivation can be. The Gemara originally says is greater than a mitzvah shelo lishma, and then Gemara quotes a pasuk that Yael was greater than Sarah, Rivka, than their imahot. They had relations. They wanted to have their kid. They were shelo lishma, and Yael had relations with Sisra, as the Gemara explains. She was doing it totally. She was doing a sin. It's a terrible thing, but totally for the purpose of saving the Jewish people, and that's greater. That's like a fascinating Talmudic discussion we discussed back then. And also, how do you apply that in the real world? That sometimes something done wrong with proper motivation is, the Gemara then modifies. Maybe it's only as good, or better, as good as a mitzvah done shelo lishma. But the idea that we derive shofar from the mother of Sisra, we all know, but it's a mother is a mother is a mother, and it doesn't matter if it's the mother of our enemy. And when we blow the shofar, when you hear the shofar next Tuesday, one of the things you should be thinking about is the mother of Sisra. And when our enemies, maybe we had to kill Sisera. We have to fight the enemy. But you have Rahmanas on the mothers, have Rahmanas on the people, the innocent people. Not everybody's our enemy. And you can't just ignore the crying of the mother. And that's the cries that goes up to heaven. It's like an unbelievable Gemara. I just find it so powerful that we derive, the whole essence of shofar is derived from not just a non-Jew. We have that all over our tradition. Always, we learn from everybody in non, but here it's not just a non-Jew. It's from like our enemy, but the mother of our enemy. So that's what the Gemara says. Now let's continue. So the mother of Sisera was crying, and now we have a debate. Marsavar Genuche Ganach. This is fascinating. Obviously, nobody knows. This opinion, she was sighing. Oy, that's Shvarim. And Marsavar Yelulu. Trua. Some say she was sighing, that's a Shvarim, what we call a Shvarim, and some say she was crying. What we call a Shvarim is a Trua. In other words, the Torah is not sure how do you define Trua, right? How do you find, what does a Trua mean? Does a Trua mean sighing or wailing? So we just named it to distinguish between the two. We called it a Shvarim. It's broken, shever, broken. We already know the trua is disconnected, and trua. So it's genuche ganach or yilula yali. So that's what the Gemara then says. And then the Gemara says, how do you know you blow a shofar? So this is we last week vavarta shofar. It says by Yovel lahavir. That's every something before the shofar. The shofar is a trua. Something before that's the kia. Ainli ela Yovel. That verse is written by Yovel. What about Rosh Hashanah? Talmud Lamar b'chodesh hashvi'i. We blow Yovel takes place in the 7th month. Shein Talmud. Why does it say it's b'chodesh hashvi'i? We already know that. Ma Talmud Lamar sheyu kol truot chodesh hashvi'i. All the blowing, it's like Gzeira Shaba. All the blowings of the 7th month are the same. So obviously the Torah is linking. It's not just it says 7 here, 7 there. The Torah is telling us that Yovel and Rosh Hashanah are the same thing. All the blowings that you do in the 7th month have the same purpose. So the same way we have to blow it says by Yovel, you have to blow shofar. So it doesn't tell us by Rosh Hashanah. It's good. We want us to learn it from Yovel. How do you know shepshuta? The pshuta is a tekiah, a simple sound, not a broken sound. How do you know there's a pshuta before? Talmud Lomar v'havarta. You should pass. The shofar has to pass before you get to the shofar. Before you get to the trua, it's got to pass something. It's got to pass the tekiah. V'havarta shofar trua. And how do you know afterwards? There's a key afterwards. Tavira shofar. It says it again, and it's going in. It's got to pass through something, and coming out, it's got to pass through something. So you got to have tekiah trua, and a trua could be a shvarim or it could be a trua. You have to have that 9 times. And how do you know Yovel? Same thing on the Gemara asks the same question. That same thing is true on Rosh Hashanah. You call truot. Not all. We learn shofar from Yovel. Everything blows has to be shofar, and everything has to be a trua. So now, how many times, and it says it 3 times, the shofar is used 3 times. So how many times do we have to blow shofar? According to the Torah, 9. Tekiah, trua, tekiah. That's it. In the Torah itself, the rabbis derive through exegetical principles. The rabbis derive by comparing it to Yovel and looking at Balocha. The Torah is, seeing there's very close analysis of the Torah. We have to hear 9 voices of the shofar. We have to hear 9 voices. Tekiah, trua, tekiah 3 times. Now, we don't know what a trua is. So what is a trua? A trua is either a shvarim or either a trua. So that's how we're going to get to 30. But let's take a look. When did that happen? Anybody know when that happened? How do we get to shvarim trua, by the way? I understand shvarim and understand trua, but I don't know we don't know what a shvarim trua is yet. So let's take a look. This is the next page in the Talmud, 34a. Okay. Itkin Rabbi Avahu. Should I go up here? Is it here? Okay, we'll start here. I think this is the right place to start. Hitkina Rabbi Avahu. Rabbi Avahu, if I'm not mistaken, lived in the 3rd century in Caesarea. He lived in Israel, unlike Abaye, who lived in Babel, right? Rabbi Avahu is living in Caesarea. Tekiah, shvarim, trua, tekiah. So Rabbi Avahu says like this: No. We don't blow. We blow what we call tashrat. The lingo. Tashrat, tarat. Tashrat, Tkiya Shvarim Trua Tkiya, Tashat Tkiya Shvarim Trua Tkiya, Tarat Tkiya Trua Tkiya. That's how the lingo they use, like in yeshivas. But here it says Tkiya Shlosha Tzvarim and Trua Tkiya. So Manafshach. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. Either way, you're wrong. If it's the wailing, so it should be Tkiya Trua Tkiya. And if it's the sighing, it should be Tekiya Shvarim Tekiya. Well, where's the Shvarim Terua? It's one or the other. It's not both. It's not both. So the Gemara says, Misafkale, he didn't know. Is it sighing or is it wailing? So that's very nice. The Gemara doesn't like that answer. Maybe it's one. So this is very interesting. I want to get the whole halakha discuss. It's a hefsek. If it's really shvarim, remember, we've got to blow tekiya at the beginning and a quote unquote trua, whatever that is, and a tekiya. That the Gemara derived from the verse taviru. The tekiya, the trua has to pass through. So presumably you don't want anything else there. You can't have an admixture. Put the wrong combination in a formula. It messes up the whole thing. So if it's supposed to be tekiya, trua, tekiya, and you throw in a shvarim, that's what we call a hefsek. That's an interruption. You didn't go tkiya, trua, tkiya. You threw in some sound that's incorrect. And if it's a shvarim, and you blow tkiya, shvarim, trua, then the trua, at the end, it messes up the thing. You have an inappropriate insertion that interrupts the flow. It's got to be tekiya, trua, tkiya. The trua has to be surrounded by the tkiyas. You can't interrupt it on either side with some false sound. That's Rabbi Avira's question. Actually, I find this quite fascinating. Maybe I hope you agree. So it's a hefsek. It's going to be a hefsek, and that's not allowed. So the Gemara says, okay, either way, it's a hefsek. The Gemara says, what did he do? So he says like this: we do both. Misafkele, maybe it's both. Maybe it's sighing, maybe it's wailing, and maybe it's sighing and wailing. Maybe it is both, not three. So the Gemara says, okay, so we should do, what about maybe it's wailing, maybe it's wailing and sighing. What about tekiya, trua, shvarim? We don't do that. Tekiya, trua, shvarim. Yeah, that'd be cool. Tekiya, trua, shvarim, right? It doesn't sound right, right? Trua shvarim. So he said, nah, can't be, because nobody cries like that. Nobody cries like that. People cry. It's fascinating. I don't know. People cry. They first sort of sigh and then they wail. Nobody wails and sighs. I don't know what the scientific research is, but whatever. So that's fascinating. So what we do is we do all three. We do all three. We blow. That's what we do. We don't want to have sake. So we blow tekiya, right? Rabbi Abau began, we're going to do shvarim trua. So that's the first thing we do. When they start the shofar blowing, they do tekiya, shvarim trua, tekiya, tashrat. That's what we do. And then we do it 3 times because we have to blow shofar 3 times. But maybe that's wrong. So then we blow tekiya, shvarim, tekiya 3 times. And then we blow tekiya, trua. That's 30 because shvarim trua is 4. So that's tekiya, shvarim trua, Tekiya 4 times, 3 times is 3 times 4 is 12. Then Tekiya Shvarim Tekiya is 3 is 9, and Tekiya Trua Tekiya is 9. That's 30. So the Torah says, the Torah doesn't say. The rabbis derive from their interpretation of the Torah that you have to blow the shofar. The trua has to be blown 3 times. That's what you have to blow. Trua is 3 times. In order to blow a trua, you have to pass at the beginning and the end. The trua must be surrounded. The brokenness, the crying. It must be surrounded by the joyous sound of the tekiya of coming together. The tekiya is a joyous sound. The trua is a sad sound, a crying out sound. So the focus is the trua. That's what Rosh Hashanah is. It's a Yom Trua Yelachem. But we don't want to just focus on that. God, we surround, every Haftorah ends on a positive note. We surround the trua with the tekiya, and we blow all 3. So 9 becomes 30. So Susan, you're kind of right. When you ask, on a practical level, in order to guarantee that you fulfilled the 30, the mitzvah to blow the trua 3 times, we multiply it by 10. From 3 we went to 30. 3 becomes 9 because of the 6 kiyas, and then there are 3 ways to do it. So we do all three. So that's what we do. Okay. Okay. Now, when should we blow shofar? When can you blow shofar?
During davening. It's
When
part of
during
davening.
davening? When during davening? So I actually
Well-
forgot to. I didn't bring the Gemara. I'll just do it by heart. I hope I remember it properly. Um, um, should you blow at Shachrit or Musaf?
Musaf we blow.
I didn't say when we blow. I said when we should blow. When should we blow? We don't always do what we should do.
Maybe we were supposed to blow earlier, but there was some
Yeah.
problem,
Why
so
should we
pushed
blow
it off.
earlier? Why should we blow earlier?
Well, a mitzvah you do as soon as possible.
That's right. When do you do a bris? I mean, in Israel, they
Right.
do this. I've never understood that. Israel always does brisim in the afternoon, but it's
Right.
freezing makdimim. You can call a yom. The Mishnah and Megillah call the yom kashlik kriyas Megillah ulekiyat shofar. You can blow shofar 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It doesn't matter. Call hayom kasher hala kriyas Megillah. All the mitzvah tefillin. That's all day. You got a lulav. You got all day to do the mitzvah. It's freezing makdimim. It's appropriate to do it first thing in the morning, meaning we should blow at Shachrit, right? So why don't we blow at Shachrit?
They want more people in shul, maybe?
Because the
Right, so that's
Romans.
why Mara raises that. I love this. I love the humanity of our sages. I love it.
Romans
More
thought you
news.
were
Who's in
gathering for
shul?
war.
Shachrit, 8 o'clock in the morning. Get out of here. We have a 9:30, 9 o'clock. We have in our shul now. We have an 8:50 minyan and a 9:30 minyan. And on Rosh Hashanah, there's a batikim. In the only time of year I have a batikim is on Rosh. I actually go to that minyan. That's minyan. It's a beautiful minyan. Whatever it started 18, 19 years ago. It started when we all had little kids, 20 kids, and the idea was that the main minyan had a kiddush in the middle, and it was sort of timed that the hashkama minyan would finish when the main minyan finished Shachri B'mida Kiddush. Whoever, the husband or the wife, would go home, take care of the kids, and then the other spouse could, even though, for little kids, they have babysitting, but still, could go to, that's how the minyan, I think that was the original impetus. Morris, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was the original impetus, but it's really a nice minyan. So, then we get 50, 60 people, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but Rosh Hashanah people came late. So we blow at Musaf. So the Gemara rejects that, I believe. But Rav Hadran Melech,
Because of the
the
Romans.
reason Makdimi is more important.
Romans
So there
thought
are
we
two-
were gathering for war. The Romans
Yeah,
thought that.
so there are two reasons. Excellent. So the Bavli, the Babylonian, which makes sense, the Babylonian Talmud says we should blow in Shachrit. But what's the shofar? The shofar is a call to the camp to march, to conquer the land of Israel. It's a battle cry. I mean, it was in the ancient world, other nation. It's a cry to battle. It's a war cry. To blow shofar, I don't really understand this. I mean, I understand that the shofar is a war cry, but I don't understand that this really the Rome. So if we blew it at Shachrit, the Romans would think we're rebelling. So they would send guards, not the boats. I don't know, either the guards left or no, the guards stayed, but the Jews aren't just blowing shofar, they're actually davening. So by Muslims, okay, but they're doing that at Shachrit. I don't really understand it, to be perfectly honest, on a practical level, but that's what the Gemara says, that the Romans, because of the Romans, and the persecution, and they were afraid of shofar, we had to switch it to Musaf. The Yerushalmi derives it, let me show you right here. The Jerusalem Talmud, so you see already our second difference. The Jerusalem Talmud holds blowing shofar on Shabbos, not blowing, is a biblical law. The Babylonian says that's a rabbinic law. And the Jerusalem Talmud also says, just let me find it, Ubachodesh Hashvi'i, on the Chad L'Chodesh Yom Teruah. Remember, it doesn't say Zichron Teruah here. This is the Yom Teruah. And then it talks about the Korban Musaf. So the Yerushalmi derives, now I believe that we blow shofar in conjunction with the Korban Musaf. Now, why that is, and I think I mentioned last week that the Bala Ma'or, they daven Malchut Zikronot and Shofar at Shachri too. We don't do that. I don't know what the original idea was, but I know what I have to look exactly why that is. But the Shofar somehow is connected to Musaf, not to Shachri. That's how the Yerushalmi. The Bali says no, you do it first thing in the morning. Now you don't have to blow Shofar when you daven. That enhances our tefillah. But it's like davening with a minyan. It enhances our tefillah. The mitzvah of shofar is independent, but as Rav Soloveitchik famous, I think, for me, that it's always dangerous to say it's famous, I say. But when I know something, it's famous. But Soloveitchik spoke about this a lot, that the shofar is a instrument of prayer. And that's why we blow it in davening, because we don't know what to say. Words are confining. A picture's worth 1,000 words. We can't express ourselves. Music is so much more powerful than words. And we all know that poetry is more important than prose, because the Torah is considered a poem. Shira Hazot, the last mitzvah. The Torah is a poem, because poetry has much more than prose. You can't fully, you can never express yourself in words. Music, that expresses itself much more beautifully. So the shofar, we daven Malchiyot Zichronot, and if we say what we say, and then we blow the shofar. That's the sound. Of course, the lulav is Hallel. That's why we shake the lulav in Hallel. Again, the lulav is independent of Hallel, but we shake the lulav in the middle of Hallel because lulav is Thanksgiving. We thank for our blessings, the blessings of the land. Beautiful. So it's obviously when we do it. So our custom is we blow shofar as part of the Shmona Esrei. And we discussed last week when the blow it. Malchiyot, right? Rav Yochanan ben Nuri says, you say Malchiyot with Hamelach HaKadosh, that third bracha makes a lot of sense, but you don't blow shofar then. The Americans say, whoa. If I'm not blowing shofar, no point to say Malchiyot. I'm only going to say Malchiyot, I'm going to blow shofar. So there's a debate how you do it exactly. We follow Rabbi Akiva. We spoke about that last week, the two forms of Malchiyot, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, and a more austere, pachad, fear, and that's what we say. We took his beginning part. We said it in all four of the tefillot, like the Balamor, the Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri's introduction. B'chein tein pach lecha, where Soloveitchik explains that was the Malchiyot of Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Rabbi Akiva is much more beautiful. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, or even Aleinu l'shabeach. It's also a very beautiful, moving, but not fearful tune. We say for Aleinu. Anyway, the case may be, but shofar is part of tefillah, so they argue. But that's not what we do. When do we fulfill the mitzvah of shofar? I see I may not get to Korach today, but okay, what can you do? We have next week, Baruch Hashem, before Rosh Hashanah. And when do we blow shofar?
At the end of Malchios.
Before Musaf.
Or Musaf. Before
Before
Musaf.
Musaf. Remember, they announced in Shul, shofar belongs at 10:15. Because people come late. Even that's what I said. I left that tomorrow. People came late. They're probably ready to blow mussar because people aren't in shul yet. It's so beautiful. I mean, you know what I mean. It's okay. People are human nature never changes. People, you can make. I think I mentioned my son is now at youngest son, University of Waterloo. Whatever. He had a very good program there. It's not so many observant Jews there, and there's a Chabad, they had 250 people, mind you, last week at Chabad on Friday night, but Minyan Shabbos morning had way less. But they daven 10:30 in the morning. I said, 10:30 in the morning? Oh my gosh. Now, but whenever people daven, everybody I come on time, I come 15 minutes late, I'm half, I walk to shul every week. People, the people who show up 10 minutes late, the people who show up before Baruch Hu, before Kiddush, and for Laning, and for Kiddush, the JFK people, right? That's what they call them, just for Kiddush. No matter when Minyan is, people come X minutes late. That's life, and that's the way it always was. I just find it cute. Okay, but back here, we blow shofar before Musaf. As the Mata Ephraim, Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margolis, that is one of the classic works on the laws of the Yamim Tovim. Every Yontif, has they're classics, for a certain particular time. So the Mata Ephraim is like I don't want to say like the Mishnah Berurah, but it's like the go-to book on Rosh Hashanah. So he says, after the rabbi gives a drasha, Rabbi has to give a drush in shul. Rosh Hashanah inspired the people. That actually is a Mishnah. The Mishnah in Ta'anit, the Masechet Ta'anit says on a fast day, when they would gather to pray, that the Zaken, they had to appoint an elder who would speak to the people. Divrei Kivushim, words of conquering. That's what it literally means. To conquer the heart, to speak to the heart, to motivate people. We know how important Jonathan Sachs is it's very important, oratorical skills. We mentioned many times, unfortunately, people don't emphasize that enough at all. It's very important, oratorical skills. Not everybody is talented in oratorical skills. I remember, Rabbi Gedalia Schwartz, If it was the head of the Beit Din of the RCA, lived in Chicago. I think it was in Borough Park first. Then he went to Chicago, head of the RCA Beit Din. A great man. He was the head of the RCA Beit Din. So, oh no, it's not him. Okay, but he was a great man too. But he spoke about oratorical skill. But it's the I did hear him speaking about the importance of oratory. But it's Emmanuel Feldman, the editor of his famous little piece, filling in a brown paper bag. How many people have seen that piece, Phil? It's so
Yes.
beautiful. He was the editor. He would write these 2-page introduction. I don't know, they stopped. Jeffrey Sachs is doing an amazing job. He's brought tradition back from the dead. It's really amazing, but he doesn't write the editor's notebook. Emmanuel Feldman, when he was the editor, wrote the editor. It was always fascinating. That was the best part of the magazine. He wrote about everything. He wrote about baseball, Atlanta. He wrote all fascinating stuff, really. So he has this one, I think probably his best known one is filling in a brown paper bag. Nobody will walk around filling in a brown paper bag. So why do we sometimes present Torah like a piece of, it's so people can't speak, people get up to speak, or they say Divrei Torah, Narishkeit, and they don't put together a sentence. It's a disgrace. When it's not important, I just learned Gemara. Who cares that I don't know how to speak? First of all, not everybody's like it's no. Torah is beautiful. There's a reason that Beit Hamikdash is full of gold, and the menorah's got to be gold, and the chatzorot have to be silver. It's beauty, aesthetics is very beautiful. Hidur mitzvah, so hidur speaking. Anyway, so the Matar Prime before shofar blowing, the rabbi has to speak, and one of the qualifications to be the rabbi is to be a good speaker. I'm not saying it's the most important qualification, but it's not an unimportant qualification of the rabbi, even though people like to disdain it, I think, a little bit. But we all know when we hear a great speaker, we know how inspiring it can be. And we hear a speaker, Rahman, it's like you're so uninspired. Okay, enough of that. So why do we blow then? Why do we blow before? We're supposed to blow in the Shemon Esrei. So I'll tell you a little secret. I don't advise this. There are Rishonim who say, well, we'll see in a moment, but I'll tell you the punchline first. If you're going to be in shul the whole time, don't pay attention. Read a book. I totally advise against this. But they say really it's better. The reason we blow shofar early, they slept the davening. It used to be they didn't have unetana tokev. They didn't have chomaminim and ochila. We didn't have all the things and singing and this. We didn't have a 3-hour and a chazan and a choir. Very beautiful, but not everybody can stay for the whole davening. So people would leave. So they're going to miss shofar. They're not there for shofars. So we're going to blow shofar for the people who have to leave early. That's one of the standard reasons. And so therefore, they can, but if you're not going to leave early, you don't leave early. It's better to hear the shofar as part of the Shemon Esrei. So don't pay attention. Have like when they count Sfira, early, they have to say, don't pay attention. It's not, maybe in the in the Vilna Gaon shul, maybe they can do that. But in normal people, we should not do that. But it's just a fascinating idea. So let's see what the Gemara says. Why do we blow beforehand? So that's one reason. It was an added thing for the cholim. That's the people who are sick and who just come to shul. They can't. We all know that when you go to somebody's house who's sick to blow shofar, you just blow 30 kolot right away and finish. So many people can't come to shul. Unfortunately, they can come for 15 minutes. We all know that. Maybe some of us have parents in that situation right now. Here, as I speak, you can take your mother to shul in a wheelchair for 15 minutes. But how long can she stay? Or the nurse brings her, whatever. Or you're in a nursing home, so they don't have time. So you blow it, and then everybody fulfills their mitzvah. But really, it's for later. Not everybody. Okay. That's one thing. Okay, let's look what the Gemara says. And then we have to figure out what the Gemara means. Okay, so the Gemara says like this. Amar Rav Yitzchak. This is Rosh Hashanah 16a. Lama Tokim Rosh Hashanah. I love this. Why do we blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah? Why do we blow? Why do we blow? Are you out of your mind? Lama Tokim? Rahman Amar says in the Torah, Tiku. It doesn't really say Tiku. It says Tariu. Tiku, but of course, we understand what this means. Elalama Mari'im. So he says, so he took him literally. So, okay, I get Tekiah. But why do we do Mari'im, Trua? Are you out of your mind? Rahman Amar, Zichron Trua. In other words, the Torah has Tekiah and Trua. He's actually was interpreting it in a very literal sense. No, you don't understand my question. Lama tokim urim kishem yoshvim. Why do we blow tekiah and trua when people are sitting, right? Do they sit in your shul and tekiah shofar? Anybody ever been to a shul where they sit? Okay. Lama tokim urim kishem yoshvim. Utokim urim kishem omdim. And when they stand. Why do we blow shofar sitting and why do we blow shofar standing? So Gemara says, I love this answer because I don't know what it means. Of course, this Rosh Hashanah, he appears a lot on Rosh Hashanah. Kedei la'arvev hasatan, to mess up this really stupid Satan. You'd think he would figure out that we don't blow shofar in Erev Rosh Hashanah. Doesn't mean we stop blowing shofar. Everybody knows that. We don't blow shofar Erev Rosh Hashanah to mix up the Satan. Like, how stupid can he be, right? That he can't figure out. Okay, the first year he didn't know, the new Satan. But he didn't know that every year, obviously it doesn't mean it literally. That's why I'm sort of making fun in a certain sense. Hasatan. Right? You can't. So what does it mean? So I'll just say Rashi, very simple explanation. Other explanations, Rashi, very simple. The Satan, that means the God is sitting in judgment. What's the Satan? The Satan, look at the sins of the Jewish people, look how terrible they are. So if we blow so much, really we're not supposed to blow twice. It's almost like Baltosif. It's not really, right? We're only supposed to blow in the Shmon Esrei, but we're going to do even before, like Lahavdil, when does somebody show up to a football game? The NFL season just started, right? So I don't know. We don't have an NFL team here, but Buffalo, people go to Buffalo from Toronto. Lots of people go every Sunday to Buffalo or whenever they play. That's so. What do they have? They have tailgate parties. I don't even know what they call. People show up 4 hours before the Super Bowl, 6 hours before. They're talking about the game, dissecting every potential thing, and it's like crazy for 2 weeks. So because you love it, they love football so much. Our baseball, they sit there and analyze. That shows our love. We do more. We don't just show up at the game. Someone who likes baseball wants to be there at batting practice. He wants to get. He doesn't show up for the first inning. Guy shows up a half an hour earlier, right? Your kid going baseball. So to here. We don't just show up to hear shofar in the brachot of the Shmon Esrei. Yeah, that's when we blow shofar. That's when the game starts. We show up before the game starts. Before we love mitzvot so much. So the Satan has nothing to say. What do you mean the Jewish people say? What do you mean they sin? They come 2 hours early to shul on Rosh Hashanah. They even blow shofar when they don't have to blow shofar. It's an amazing Gemara. And that's what the Gemara says. Now, what exactly is the Tkiyat Me'umad, as we call it, the Meyushav, when we stand and we sit? So the standard explanation is that Tkiyat Me'ushav, the sitting ones are what we just explained, the ones you blow before Musaf, and the standing ones are in the Shmona Esrei. Why are they called the sitting ones? Because you can sit. There's no halakha you have to stand. Everybody stands. You don't have to stand. And that's why it's called Tkiyat Yushav. It really means you can sit down. I don't know of anybody who sits down for Tkiyat Shofar. The Shmon Esrei, the Amidah, well, you have to stand. You have to stand for those Tkiyat. So that's one explanation. The Bala Ma'or, I believe it's a Bala Ma'or. He's always fascinating his own ideas. So the Bala Ma'or says no. The Tkiyat Yushav is the Tkiyat in the Shmon Esrei. We don't have to stand. I don't stand because our shots. The Baltokeh will stand. You don't have to stand either. We don't have to stand when they blow. That's the kid of Yusha. Whether the kid of Me'umah, this is so cool. We blow 100 kolot, right? Remember we started that question. It is based on Sisra's mother too. We didn't get to that part, but because she cried 100 times, the based Sisra. No, but we don't have 100 kola. We blow 30 before Shmon Esrei, depending if your shua blows in silent Shmon Esrei. I really miss that. I love it when they blow in the silent Shmon Esrei. I think it's so powerful and so beautiful that everybody's saying Shmon Esrei, Amidas, Kleinly, and then they blow the shofar. But unfortunately, the shul I daven, the shuls I grew up in, all did that, but including Betchek, when I drive at Betchek, even though they daven this Tzfard, but where I daven now at Urchaim, they don't do that, and I miss it. No, what can you do? So we blow 30 in Chazar and Hashatz. So now we have to do either 40 or 10 at the end. So the Valamor said, when do we blow? We blow at the end of Kaddish. People in shul for 5 hours already. It's 1 o'clock. They came to shul 8 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock when depending on who your cousin is. So they want to go home already. They're already standing in the back of the shul. Okay, I got to hear the shofar, and they're running out. So he says, the Miyushav, you don't blow shofar. You don't blow shofar before the Amidah. The first Kiyot, the brachot, that's when you blow shofar, the brachot of the Shemona Esrei. The Kiyot, the Me'umad, everybody's standing, running away to go to the shul. Then later on, that's what I said, later on they instituted these kiyot for the people who couldn't stay in shul, the cholim, the people who were sick. That's again that opinion that really don't pay attention too much if you're going to be in shul, or have the kiyot, the real kiyot are the ones of the Shemona. So that's just a fascinating idea that we have here by the the kiyot of miyushav duma. But we blow more than we have to. We go 9. Torah says 3. 3 becomes 9 because you have to kiyas. And 9 becomes 30 because we don't know how they cry. We want to incorporate. And I remember Rav Shatner, who's in Toronto this weekend, actually, I'm going to hear him tonight. I remember he explained to us that what happened before Rabbi Abahu? Rabbi Abahu lived in the 3rd century. Like, what did they do before him? So you can ask, what did they do before Rabbi Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin? Okay, fine. But what he seemed to say is there were different customs, and each one is good. This one blew Shvarim only, and this one blew Trua only. There's Shvarim Trua. Rabbi Abahu wanted to unite the Jewish people. We don't want different shofar. It's a beautiful idea. It's very nice. Every shul does something. The shofar is the shofar. The tekiah is to call the people together. All shuls should blow shofar the same way. So Rabbi Abahu there were 3 legitimate different practices of how to blow shofar, and then he took them all together, and everybody should do the same. I'll tell you one last fascinating point. So we blow 10, 10, and 10, right? One set. When we do Malchiot, Zichronot, and Shofarot, either in the Psalm, the Shemona Esrei, and the repetition, we do 10. We do 1. Tkiyah Shvarim Trua, Tkiyah Shvarim, we do, that's the 3. The 3 is after Malchiot, but we don't do it 30. We do 10, 10, and 10. Now, the Gaonim had a practice, this is unbelievable, that after Malchiot, I think they would blow Tkiyah Shvarim Trua, Tkiyah. That's it. 4. After Zichronot, they would blow Tkiyah Shvarim, Tkiyah. 3, that's it. And after Shofarat, Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah, that's it. Because remember, each one is really good, right? That's what they said, right? Each one is good. Okay, we'll do all 3. But why didn't they do all 3 in Malchiot, Zichron, and Shofarat? This is unbelievable. You know what they explained? That's not our practice. We do 10. But they only did 4, 3, and 3. Why? Tircha de Tzibura. Can't schlep out the davening. I love this. I'm on a campaign totally unsuccessful to get rid of Mishpat between Aliyahs. It's the biggest waste of time, totally unnecessary. It's halachically problematic. I know I'm against like the minhagim of Klal Yisrael, but it stopped in COVID. And why did some shuls have to put it back? And then a second Misha because they're making Kiddush. I can't stand it. Tircha de Tzibura, people talk. And we say Misha Beraka Kola Kala Kadosh Iver Haymun Hashem of name. That's what we say. None of this. You don't need this. But no. What can you do? What can you do? It's totally unsuccessful. I've told the Gabbai I'll make a big donation to the shul. Just get rid of the Misha Berak. But they laugh at me, of course. What can you do? All right, I don't fight, but I really think it would be beautiful if we did. Can you imagine? They wouldn't blow. I mean. Maybe they didn't. They wouldn't blow the extra shvarim trua because the tircha were the 4.5 second. I find that unbelievable. But anyways, and that's not our minhag. Our minhag is we don't care about tircha tzibura. Schlep the davening for 5 hours. It's I often say davening can be 5 hours and not schleppy, and can be 4 hours and schleppy. And Shabbos morning davening can be 2 hours and schleppy, and 3 hours and not schleppy. Schleppiness and time are not the same.
Are not the same.
You know, I want to. I mean, I when I went to hear the chazan, what's his name, the new famous chazan, Nissan Saul. When I was in Israel last year, he was davening at Yeshua, and I'd never heard of him. Fantastic. Davening took 4.5 hours. I didn't consider it schleppy, but I imagine by every week there's a limit. He's fantastic, but there's a limit there too. But anyways, okay, let's stop. It is getting late, and I have to go teach in a couple minutes. So let's just quickly review. We please God, we'll talk about shofar next week. Unless you have other requests, you can send them in. And then we talked about really the development of the shofar. That's really what we talked about. Tekiah and Trua are only mentioned by the movement of the camps, but obviously that's the theme of Rosh Hashanah. The movement, we gather the people together. The Tekiah is gathering, true as war, problems, true as sad, crying. The mother of Sisra, such a powerful image that yes, we care about the mothers of our enemies and we blow shofar. It's rachamim. We are trying to be ma'ora, to wake up God's mercy through the mother of Sisra. It's unbelievably powerful. And that's how we know what a trua means. It says, we don't know what a trua is. Yom Yavaba, crying. And then we have the debate. It's a shvarim trua. So we do all three. Rabbi wants to unite the Jewish people, and then we love shofar so much we blow it before the davening, right? And then the different development of the shofar from 9 to 30 to 100, because Sisra's mother cried 100 times. Okay, that's basically in a nutshell what we did. Please, I don't know what else, anything interesting, but yeah, all kinds of the shofar is a beautiful idea. It comes with the chatzotzrot. And the shofar is to wake us up. We have a trua, but it's got to be surrounded by a tekiah on either side. Okay, I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Remember, I mentioned at the beginning, please God, tomorrow night, my podcast on the Slichot. Tomorrow's will be about 35 minutes or so, and then the rest ones, hopefully, I haven't recorded the other ones yet, but hopefully I'll get to that so I can learn a lot on Slichot. If I have to record something, I have to learn something. So we'll do hopefully 8-10 minutes every night on Slichot. We're setting up a WhatsApp group for that. It was on the email I sent out. Of course, I hope we'll see you all on Sunday morning at our Rosh Hashanah Yom Iyun. And if you haven't registered, it is a separate registration. I imagine many of you have, but just to point out, and then we'll have all our regular shiurim next week, Monday through. So obviously, Rabbi Liebtag will be speaking at the Yom Iyun. Benny Guzman won't be speaking. We'll be speaking at the Sukkot Yom Iyun. We'll have all our regular shiurim all through the week. And actually, Rabbi Liebtag is also giving the Parsha Shir next week at 3:30 a.m. We have amazing people. They like to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to teach Torah. That's what Rav Soloveitchik said. If he comes to YU at 3 o'clock in the morning and announces he gave me a shir, people would come. That's because his halakha, when he talks about the Lubavitch and the Tanya, he wanted to teach Tanya one year. His Chabad upbringing that I spoke about, and the people weren't interested. Nobody cares. If I came to give a shir, everybody would come. Tanya, nobody cares. What can we do? All they care about is Gemara, these yeshiva boys. He was lamenting that fact. Okay, I got to go teach my students here in chat, my wonderful
Shabbat
students.
Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Be well.
Shabbat
Thank you very much.
Shalom.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Be well,
Shalom.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Shalom.
tomorrow night
Shalom.
when the Shabbos ends for us, I don't know when Shabbos ends. My son is doing. He lives in New York, so Shabbos ends 20 minutes early. I think he's going to time it. I think you can set it away automatically. It'll go after New York 20 minutes earlier than in Toronto. What can I tell you? Okay, my father, who was a Baltoke, used to tell us that we don't blow shofar because the angel who's in charge blowing can't be in two places, blowing out the Shabbos childrens. Okay, I assume that's a joke.
Exactly.
Okay.
Rabbi Kelman, my father was about Tokea in Rabbi Abraham Kelman's shul.
My uncle shul, of course.
And he blew during the Shemona Esrei, not
Yeah,
during
that's
the
a beautiful
Pascha.
custom in the middle. Yeah,
I remember it clearly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yes, I know.
The
Thank you.
Aspect Park.
My uncle
Yeah.
shul. Yes, I know. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Okay. Have a Shabbat Shalom. I got to
Shabbat
run. Bye-bye.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.